Hi, all, and welcome to
Tell me an old captain story.
Episode 5 Old Captain and the Deep Sea Dunk, Part 2. Old Captain, Miles, and Simon, and the crew of the Whimsy Wayfarer were watching the whale shark, the blue whale, and the orca all play the deep sea dunk game. It was like an ocean version of basketball. Simon and Miles shared a look, the kind that brothers use to communicate without using words. Then they turned to Old Captain. Can we play? They said in unison. Um, it's so amazing. Miles jumped up and down. I really want to play. I don't know if how you do that, Old Captain said. These are big creatures, and that giant clam weighs a few hundred pounds. It would be so fun if we could, Simon said. Miles, can you do something with magic so that we can play? Old Captain scratched his scruffy chin. Miles scratched his hairless one, and the two stood deep in thought for a moment. Simon looked around and tried to figure out what he could do to help, when Miles snapped his fingers. I know, he said, and ran back into the captain's quarters. When he came back out, he had the basketball he had been levitating when he first got to the ship. He turned the ball around in his hands and whispered a few words, and then drew his hands away from it. But instead of it falling to the deck, it grew to be the size of a big beach ball. The pod of dolphins and the orca were curiously swimming close to the starboard bow, and appeared to be looking up at the boys and old captain. Simon watched them excitedly when he saw something amazing. The orca was flapping his pectoral fin, as if to be waving at Simon. Simon waved back. I think they want us to play, Simon said. Old captain, Miles said, do you happen to have any bubbles? Bubbles? Can you use your magic bag? Oh, yes. Old captain hurried to his quarters and brought back the bag of grabbing. He reached into the satchel and pulled out a bottle with a bubble-blowing wand inside and handed it to Miles the wizard. Miles tossed the extra-large basketball into the water, where it floated on the waves. He took the bubble wand out and whispered a few words of magic. Simon, he said, come here and close your eyes. Simon came to his little brother and bent down with his eyes closed. Miles handed him the bubble wand. Now, blow a bubble, the wizard said. Okay. Simon seemed curious, but did what he was told. The bubble Simon blew did not blow out and float away, but in fact it blew around his entire head until it was completely inside the bubble, like he was wearing a fishbowl on his head. Wow, Simon said. This way you can breathe underwater, Miles said. Wait for us. Miles handed the bubble wand to Old Captain. He shrugged and said, Why not? Old Captain took off his hat and his coat and his trappings and got down to his shorts and blew the bubble that went all the way around his head just like it did for Simon. Miles did the same, and all three had a bubble around their heads. They all nodded to each other and jumped in at the same time. They found quickly that Miles's magic had worked. They could breathe and talk underwater without any issue. It was amazing. Old Captain and Simon and Miles were all under the water and floating underneath the surface when the big blue whale came along and stopped in front of them. It made a whale sound that normally they would not understand, but for the magic Miles used, which made the sound into words when it passed the bubbles around their heads. Hello there, said the blue whale. I'm Morgan. What's your names? I'm Old Captain, and this is Simon and Miles. Pleased to meet you all. Do you want to play? We sure do, all three humans said at once. Okay, the blue whale said. We've never played with humans before. To the blue whale, their words, when passed through the bubble, became whale song he could understand. Pretty soon, the orca, the whale shark, and the dolphins all came around and welcomed the boys and Old Captain. The blue whale led Old Captain on his back, and the whale shark, whose name was Sully, let Simon ride on him. Miles rode Oscar the orca, and they all played the deep-sea dunk game. The whales and the whale shark used the giant clam, and the boys and Old Captain used the extra-large basketball that Miles made. The dolphins and the sea lions were like spectators in the crowd, though some dolphins got in on the action and made some baskets too. There really weren't any rules. It was just good fun. As the day wore on, and the boys, Old Captain, and their new friends continued playing, they saw new faces appear in the deep blue of the sea. One was that of a small octopus, another a large manta ray, and many others. When they were all taking a break, the little octopus came over and tapped Old Captain on the shoulder. "Excuse me," the little octopus said. Old Captain turned to see the tentacled tyke floating before him. "Hello, friend," Old Captain said. "How can I help you?" "Well, I was wondering, this looks like a lot of fun, but would you be able to help me?" "Oh, of course," Old Captain said through his magic bubble. "What can I do for you?" The little octopus was a bright orange. "Well, my friend would like to play," he said, "but he's kind of stuck and could use some help getting free." "Oh, well, lead the way," Old Captain replied and waved for Simon and Miles to follow. The little orange octopus led Old Captain and the two brothers down to the bottom of the shipwreck, where a much larger octopus seemed to be struggling with some part of the ship. "We were watching and talking about asking if we could join you all when something fell off this big boat, and Oliver here got caught by this long thingy." The long thingy the little orange octopus was referring to happened to be a heavy rigging rope from the old shipwrecked galleon. Oliver the octopus was groaning. He was, in fact, much bigger than the little orange one. "Let's see here, friend," Old Captain said. "The little guy tells me you're Oliver. Pleased to meet you, Oliver. Everyone calls me Old Captain." Once again, the words traveled through the magic bubble to the octopus, and it responded. "Hi, Old Captain," Oliver said. "Can you help me? My tentacle is stuck, and I can't get it out. It really, really hurts." "Hang on, friend. Let me see what we can do here." Old Captain swam down to where the rigging rope was trapping Oliver's tentacles. He heaved and tried with all his might to get the rigging up and free the octopus, but it was no use. It was just too heavy. Old Captain called for Simon and Sully, the whale shark. They tried too, but it was too small a space for the whale shark to get any leverage, as he was just too big. Miles and Oscar the orca came to help too, but even the orca's nose couldn't fit in the space where the rigging was. "We need to cut it," Simon said. "If only I had a sword." "We could use the sword of arrows," Miles offered. "Oh, I don't think we want to do that just yet," Old Captain said. "He'll just make it worse by insulting everyone. There must be another way." "Maybe I can help," said someone behind Simon. They all turned to see a shiny silver and blue fish with a great sail on its back and a sharp nose that was longer than Pinocchio's nose if he had lied for a whole week. It was a swordfish. Swimming alongside the swordfish was a big porpoise. "Hi, my name's Reed," the swordfish said. "And this is Avery. How can we help?" "You're just what we need," Miles said. "Let me see," Reed the swordfish said. He swam down to where the heavy rope rigging equipment was pinning all over the octopus's tentacles and started to use his sharp sword nose to saw the heavy rope. Miles, Simon, and Old Captain all swam closer too, and each grabbed a piece of the collapsed rig to help hold it up when the swordfish was done cutting, so Oliver could swim free. It was a big joint effort. After only a few minutes, the rigging was finally cut loose, and with everyone pulling and pushing and giving it their all, Oliver the octopus was able to swim free. "Gosh, thanks for getting me out of there," Oliver said. "Of course. Are you hurt?" Old Captain asked. Oliver the octopus wiggled all his 8 arms. "I think I'm okay." "Thank goodness," said Simon. "Do you want to play now?" Miles asked. All the many creatures of the deep looked at the octopus, who was about the size of a cow. "I sure do," Oliver said. Old Captain, Simon, and Miles taught their new friends all about the general rules of land basketball and how to play. The sea creatures did their best to adapt to the fact that they really had no ground to dribble on, but they made do by bouncing the large basketball on their noses or bodies in some way. The giant clam they'd used got tired of being shot through the air and dunked through the crow's nest and said he was going home. It turned out that Oliver the octopus was a gifted handler of the basketball, and he never missed a shot. On one play, he dribbled the ball and passed it to Old Captain, who then passed it to Simon, who then passed it back to Oliver, and Oliver threw it just in time for Miles and Oscar the orca to jump up out of the water and complete a successful alley-oop basket with a bona fide dunk. The sea lions roared with excitement, and dolphins jumped up all around in the air. Ah, classic move, Old Captain said. Another time, Simon had the whale shark Sully swimming so fast that he almost fell off, but he was able to steal the ball from Old Captain and drive all the way to the basket, throw it once to Avery the porpoise, who bounced it back with a slap of his tail fin, and then Simon did a true slam dunk. Afterwards, Simon shouted, "Look, I did it on porpoise! Ha ha! Get it?" Everyone laughed at the wonderful joke Simon made, even Avery the porpoise. They all played until the sun started to dip below the horizon. Old Captain and his friends bid farewell to the many new friends they'd made that day. "It was really fun playing with you guys," Morgan the whale said. "Sure was," Oscar the orca agreed. "We had the best time," Miles said. Oliver the octopus came up and handed Miles, Old Captain, and Simon each a very shiny seashell. "I just want to say thank you for helping me," Oliver said. "If you ever need help when you're in the ocean, you just tap on these shells and someone will be there in no time." "Farewell, friends," Old Captain said. "I hope we meet again." "Bye," Simon and Miles waved. Oscar the orca flung the oversized basketball to Miles, but Miles waved it away. "You guys keep it," the wizard said. "Give the clams a break. Ha!" The three friends climbed the rope ladder back on Old Captain's ship. They were starving and exhausted from all the fun of swimming in the ocean and playing basketball with whales and octopuses. Once aboard, Miles the wizard went to his brother Simon and popped the magic bubble around his head. He did the same for himself and Old Captain. The boys waved goodbye to the many wonderful animal friends they'd met. The sun was setting on the other side of the world, which made it look like it was dipping itself into the ocean for a swim. Old Captain and his crew of the Whimsy Wayfarer got busy with the business of returning home. The end. And that's all for now. See you next time on
Summer Captain Story.